you're new here, hi, I'm Echo. It's nice to meet you. Welcome to the glorious 9th installment of my Sketchbook tour video series. Phoenix, you want to be in the video? Come on, you can be in the video. Phoenix is in the video now. So today we're going to be going through the draw book. Generally, the majority of my really good sketchbooks I get from Barnes & Noble, which is why we need to keep them in business because they're very important to me. A lot of the time if I buy sketchbooks that have these wire rings, it's because I plan to actually remove the drawings from it at a later date, and honestly that's probably what's going to happen to this sketchbook. At some point I am probably going to remove all of the drawings from this and put them in a binder. That way they will be a little bit better protected. So at this point this book is about 4 years old, and some of the things in here just make me very sad because they're just not that good. Some things I really like, but a lot of it I don't. Also, if you haven't seen the other 8 videos in this series, I will put a playlist right up there. You can see them all. It will be glorious and magic for everyone. But for now, let's go have a look inside this book. Here we go. So this is the draw book. Generally, I prefer the look and feel of the glue bound spines on the book as a whole. They're also much easier to store on bookshelves and things, but this wire spine is really nice because you can remove individual pages if you need to without disturbing the rest of the book. Another huge downside to these wire bound spines is that because I'm left-handed, they can actually be kind of painful. So generally, I try to avoid them by doing things like drawing horizontally or starting from the back of the book or drawing on the other side of the paper. Whatever I can do to avoid the spine. When I first got this book, I actually started from the back, but then halfway through flipped it over and started from the other side. So this book actually ends in the middle. I know that it's weird and unorganized, but this is how I draw. I also really like this book because it has a perforated edge, so I can actually remove the pages very easily. So let's start with this loose piece of paper that's actually not from this book. This page is a bunch of character sketches for a cartoon. I wanted to try and make something that would be easy to animate, so I made these little simple characters down at the bottom. And then this one started out as a drawing of my thumb that I just turned into a little character. Ninja! Next. So I made this drawing with the primary intention of coloring it. I wanted to do something that had a lot of small sections so that I would have a lot of things to color. And I think I got as far as scanning it in, but I don't think I ever actually finished coloring it. So these two characters are actually from a cartoon that a friend and I were brainstorming. We came up with a very generic idea of a small kid and a big adventurer going on adventures. These are his maps, and this is his beard of adventure, and his long hair because adventurers don't have time for haircuts. Next. So this is actually another sketch of these little characters from right here. The original idea for this cartoon was that each of these little characters would be a different color, and they would have a little planet that would be that color. And this little guy, whose name was Christopher, would travel around these different worlds, meeting all these different people and finding out about how they live. This was a list of colors that could be possible planets, and then I imagined him and his planet being completely monochrome, which is why he's exploring to get all of these colors. And then by the end of the show, he would be able to turn his monochrome planet into a rainbow planet. Certain things about it I now realize are problematic, but that's okay. And then I also imagine the layout of this universe being kind of like a color wheel. And then here we have a couple more sketches of those little characters and me just trying out a completely different style. With these drawings I was kind of picking apart other styles from artists that I really liked and trying to combine them into a new one, and then drawing her in multiple positions because that's something that I always have difficulty with, is drawing the same character multiple times. Next. I don't know how many times I've said this on the internet, but I really love robots. So this was an idea for a comic that I had about a young inventor making a robot, and the entire comic would take place from the perspective of the little robot. So you'd get to see the entire life of this robot from beginning to end. Isn't he adorable? And then I continued sketching a little bit more on this page, so this would be the very first thing that he ever saw. He would wake up to his inventor activating him. I believe I named him LM1 for life model or life module. I don't completely remember, because it was just supposed to be about his life and what exactly life means from the perspective of something that many people wouldn't consider to be alive. Next. These were just some simple tattoo designs that I was sketching out for a friend of mine who was obsessed with hermit crabs. They never ended up getting the tattoo, but I'm actually really proud of these sketches. Next, so this is a character that I was sketching out from a story that I was writing about a post-apocalyptic world that was inspired by the song Radioactive from Imagine Dragons. I imagine him completely covered from head to toe because he lives in this radioactive world and because his skin was severely damaged. I have an entire folder full of sketches surrounding this story, so this one definitely is going to be removed from this book and moved to that folder. And next we have Scribbles. These were just me scribbling, trying to practice body proportions, and then this one was actually continued onto the next page. where I started to replicate that pose but never finished it. I'm pretty sure that halfway through I realized it was too far down on the page to complete the full drawing, so I just didn't even finish it. Also, the body just felt kind of broken up in weird ways, so I didn't really like it. So then I tried again, and I ran into the same problem where the shoulders just kind of felt too forward and the face positioning just wasn't right. It just felt too blocky. The body proportions just did not feel right, so I tried again. This one I actually liked enough to finish the basic line art, but I still did not bother inking it in. Because even though I felt like it was okay, I didn't feel like it was good enough. I gave her a really cool beret though, I like that. And then next, we have a scribble of me and Phoenix. This was back when I used to wear my hair in pigtails. You can still see it in some of my older videos. It was like 2 years ago. Time flies. These were some character sketches that I was doing for an old job I used to have. I had to do some storyboards for an educational business video, so I made a couple characters. This one was a little bean guy, and then this one was based on some pretty common stock imagery. It was the easiest way to make him just an ambiguous human. The office actually ended up preferring the little bean guy. Next, this was actually a drawing that I did for a video. It shows up for like 10 seconds in the Tour of My Brain video that I did like a year and a half ago. And then this is a basic sketch of a save the date wedding invitation thing that I did for a friend. I want to say we ended up using a completely different design, but this was the first sketch. There's another video on my channel about, I want to say, embarrassing stories, and this was the first sketch that I did for the animation in that. I was trying to figure out how I wanted to draw myself, and then this was what I came up with. And then on this next page, you can see some of the original slides that I made. So these are all of the original drawings from that video. When I do these animation drawings by hand, I'll draw them in blocks. So you can see right here, I have just a head, and then this is a full body. And then in Photoshop or some kind of animation program, I will go in and replace this head with that head so that I have this exact same body. These two sections were broken up so that they could drift together, and this X was made to cross out this minute so that seconds could be placed above it. When I make animations for my videos, I do them in such a weird, unconventional way. Convenient Dumpsters Incorporated. I'm really proud of these bodies, just being able to make them look like they're walking in certain directions. So this was actually a drawing from the How to Draw Yourself Adventure Time style video. This is a YouTuber named Gabriel Hurdy, who I believe is from Brazil. He was one of the first YouTubers that I had ever talked to, and I met him through the BAM series that I really want to bring back. And then next, we have I Make My Way. This is Allison. She was one of the very first YouTube people that I ever talked to on the platform. I actually met her through the comment section of one of her videos, back when we were both really, really small YouTubers. I don't think she's making videos as frequently anymore, which is sad. She was also a person that I met through BAM. And then we have Crystal! Oh yes, it is Crystal Joy. Da-na-na-na. This is the first drawing of Crystal Joy that I ever did. She is a YouTuber. You should see her channel. Here, oh look at it. It's a thing that happens. I think Crystal and I both met when we had like 500, 400 subscribers. We were both really, really tiny YouTubers. And she makes really super awesome animations now. The magic of Crystal Joy. And then here, these are some sketches that were actually shown in the How to Draw Yourself Adventure Time video when I mentioned various hairstyles. These are the sketches that come up. And then these are the sketches that come up when I mention clothing styles. And then this is the image that comes up at the end when I mention that you can now draw horrible fanfiction comics with your favorite characters. For the record, I would like to point out that this is me hugging Marshall Lee from the gender swapped episode of Adventure Time. I've had a handful of people think that this is Markiplier, and as wonderful as Markiplier is, that's not what this drawing is. Gonna throw that out there. And then this is the line art of me in the Adventure Time style. This is also the drawing that's in the thumbnail. If you're wondering why it's not in color, it's because I colored it digitally. If you look really closely, you can see a very light outlined pencil box. That's actually where my camera was filming. I do that sometimes if I'm filming a drawing so that nothing ends up out of frame. This is a drawing that I did for Vine back before Vine was dead. Oh, Vine. You will be missed. For a while I was using Vine to do some speed painting and speed drawing and stuff, but Vine is dead now. It was a platform that I never really got to do much with. This is a drawing of the Iron Giant. This was also a Vine that I did. I did it for the Vine. Good movie. So this page is actually blank because the drawing is on the other side of it, which means that this is the actual end of the book. So now we've got to close this and flip it over. And now we start from the front. So this piece of paper is actually how I did one of the animations in the Tour of My Brain video. In that video, I talked about a planet that I made in my head called Yumeshi. So this is the planet and this is the backdrop. I drew these, photographed them, and then put this drifting over this background. I wanted to make this entire thing in a pencil texture to emphasize the fact that it was a world that I made. And then on the first page of this book, we have an anime character that I made named Cyan. And the reason that I did this was so that I could practice drawing the same character in multiple positions, because once again, that's something I have a lot of problems with, so I was trying to practice. And then I tried doing it again with a second anime character who I believe I named Magenta. I don't know if I'm ever going to be content with the way that I draw the same character, but I'm gonna try and get close. Maybe someday. This is just a little scribble of some body proportions, doesn't really mean anything. And then these were some helmet designs that I was working with. For a while I was really obsessed with Iron Man, so I wanted to kind of try and design my own helmet. So these are 4 different helmet designs that I came up with, because I really like robots and mechanical suits, and they're really cool and stuff. And then here I was just trying to fine-tune a couple of those designs until I finally had this. I wanted it to have kind of like ears and speaker things that would be on the side. Looking back on it, it feels a little bit silly, but I like it. For a while I was kind of obsessed with like circuits and jet engines and like little engineering things, so I was toying around with different ideas. Now that I'm looking at them, some of them look kind of dangerous. Such a nerd. These were actually for a package design class that I was in. These were just some random sketches. In the end, my final project looked nothing like this, but it was still fun. Yay, schoolwork! And then here I have lots of little robot designs again. With this one I was drawing this cute little orb that would kind of just like follow you around and float through the air. And I was trying to figure out how exactly he would be able to fly or roll or walk. Sometimes I just like sketching out ideas for robots, okay? Don't judge me. And then with this I was trying to figure out an alternative way to make a jet engine, because I'm a loser. For like 2 or 3 months while I was going to university, I studied a lot about jet engines because I thought they were just kind of fascinating. And then on this page I was trying to figure out airflow. Here I was just sketching a bunch of ways to draw body types, and then this kind of ended up into like a strawberry shortcake kind of character. I think this one was inspired a little bit by Princess Bubblegum. And then I was trying out different ways to draw eyes. So this is a basic circle with a top and underline. This is a circle with an overline. These are 2 circles that don't connect to the overline. These are just 2 circles. And then this is a square-ish eye design that was inspired by Invader Zim. This is a storyboard for a short animation that I did about a girl meeting a homeless man on a train. However, I never finished sketching out the storyboard and I don't remember the ending that I planned for it, so this is lost in the void forever. This was the first sketch of the homeless man that I did, and then these were some sketches of the girl on the train. This one was just me trying to draw a side profile. Still came out terribly. I feel like I've improved a lot since this point in my life. And then these were some sketches that I did for a stock photography website. For a while I had some accounts on stock photography websites where I was trying to sell like basic sketchy illustrations, because I met a professional illustrator and he was saying that he knows people who make their living that way. However, I have not done that in forever. I figured if I started while I was going to university and just turned it into a habit, that I could eventually build up a big enough portfolio to at least supplement my income. But the process for getting everything approved was so difficult that I eventually fell out of habit and I stopped doing it. These are some basic sketches for a tattoo design that I was doing for someone, but school ended up getting in the way, so all I was able to give them were these basic sketches. I was never actually able to give them a finalized drawing. Education is more important. These were the secondary sketches I did after we had discussed what kind of pose the Grim Reaper would be in. I am really happy with how this came out. This is a cat and a present that I drew for a Christmas card, and I never used it. And then I also tried to make another Christmas card with a puppy. Some people like dogs and some people like cats, and that's how life is. So in one of the Iron Man comics, there's actually this thing called the 1616 model, I believe, which is an Iron Man suit that Tony Stark made for Pepper Potts. So there actually is kind of like a woman Iron Man suit. And for a while I really wanted to cosplay it, so I kind of planned out a little bit for the helmet. And then here I was kind of trying to break down the body and figure out how exactly I would make the suit. It was just a thing that was a lot of fun to plan. Here I was trying to design what exactly the boot would look like, and I was debating whether or not I would want it to be like flat-footed with a small heel or high-heeled so that I would be taller. And then this is the last drawing that shows up in the Drawing 50 Hairstyles in 90 Seconds video. It's my please subscribe hair. And then these were actually some sketches about how I might personally want to do my hair in the future. These were just some storyboards for a video that I planned to do a really long time ago and then never ended up making because the editing was just way too complicated. And then I kind of want to say that I did these during one of my very first live streams with someone else, because I'm pretty sure I did not draw that Wobbuffet. I think people were suggesting things to draw, which is why I have like a random lamp and bubbles and a Psyduck and a Wobbuffet. Pokemons! And then the last drawing in here was actually inspired by cyberpunk fashion. These are actually tubular crinoline pigtails, and it's in a style that was inspired by the work of Jonan Vasquez, the creator of Invader Zim and Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. And that is the last thing in here before we get to the Iron Man drawing. And we're back. America! These videos are always pretty long, so I'm just gonna give you like 500 awesome points for making it to the end of this. That was a challenge. Here's some really cool fan art that I really like, because you guys are really cool. Thank you for that. Like it if you like it, subscribe if you want to see more. If you would like to watch a previous Sketchbook tour video, then you can click there, or I have also been making original characters with input from my viewers, so if you would like to take part in that, then you can find out how to do that by clicking here. But I think that's it. So hopefully I will see you later. Bye! My sister bought me an energy drink because she cares.